All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that makes an absolutely unbelievable claim. We're looking at a set of documents that claim to have the blueprint for a cure for death.
So the whole thing starts with this one simple question. It's not about adding a few years to your life, getting to 90 or 100. No, this proposal is talking about living for 800 years. And it's all thanks to something they call AGT.
So, what exactly is AGT? Well, according to this document, it stands for Advanced Genetics Synthesis Technology. And what it supposedly does is stop aging. Like, right at the molecular level. The idea is that it rebuilds your cells using youthful data, basically keeping your body in peak physical condition for, up to 8 centuries.
Okay, but here's the catch. This 800-year lifespan, it doesn't just, gently fade away. The documents describe a very, very specific endpoint. And honestly, it sounds like you hit a kind of grim biological cliff.
They call this endpoint the 10-day death, and it's pretty horrifying. Your body gets to a point of total exhaustion and just starts to shut down. But, and this is the crazy part, your consciousness, what the source calls your soul, stays completely active, totally aware. So you're basically trapped, a helpless witness to your own body's decay for 8 to 10 days.
So, you live for 800 years only to face that? How on earth do you solve a problem like the 10-day death? Well, as you might have guessed, the proposal presents a solution, and it's just as extraordinary as the problem itself.
And that solution? It's a system called Bitdace. This is supposedly the real key. This is what unlocks actual true immortality by letting you just bypass that final system failure.
So what is Bitdace? You might want to sit down for this. It's basically an infrastructure for farming biological bodies. The source is very specific here. These are purpose-built containers grown completely without souls, just waiting to become a new home for an existing consciousness.
So here's how the whole cycle works, laid out step by step. First, you live your 800 years using the AGT tech. Then, just as your body starts hitting that exhaustion state, you transfer your soul into a brand new, waiting Bitdace body. And you just keep on living. The documents even mention you can put your original body in some kind of stasis to be restored later. Wild.
Now, obviously, there's a huge ethical question here, right? And the proposal tackles it head on. Their justification is interesting. They argue that these bodies aren't people. They're described as having no consciousness, no personality, no self at all. They're basically just empty vehicles, biological hardware waiting for a driver.
Okay, so this is where things take a spiritual turn, which is actually central to the whole idea. The documents are very clear. This technology isn't for just anyone. It's framed as a gift from God, and it's only available to those who believe. And there's a name attached to all this. The source identifies a founder, David Gomadza, who claims to have this unique divine authority. He's presented as God's representative on earth, the one and only person trusted with this gift of life.
Which, leads to the big practical question. If the tech is ready, if the knowledge is all there, what's the holdup? Why isn't this already a thing?
And the answer is infrastructure. They say the knowledge part is done, it's all quantified. But the actual physical stuff, the labs, the growth chambers, what they call the proper facilities, none of that has been built yet. So to get that money, there's an enrollment plan, and it's got 3 tiers. For $100, you can get in on the Pioneer class. That's for the general public. But if you've got a bit more cash to splash, the Visionary and Architect classes promise you a much faster track to, forever.
And that top tier, the Architect class for billionaires, that's a cool $1 million. That's the price tag for securing your spot at the absolute front of the line for immortality. So, what does $1 million get you? Well, the perks are pretty sweet. We're talking immediate priority for the AGT process, first choice of the Bitdace ACE vessels, access to private facilities, and, get this, even reserved pods to grow new bodies for your whole family lineage. And this really is the final pitch. The message you see over and over. It's this idea that, hey, the blueprints are done. The tech is all figured out. We just need the ground to build on. It's presented as the one last hurdle. And so that brings us to the end of this explainer and leaves us right back at the central question of the whole thing. The blueprints are complete, they say. The knowledge is absolute. So let me ask you, would you invest in forever?